Hey folks, thanks again for tuning back in to Dude Craft Guitars. Today at the Dude Ranch, we're working on the Harry Scary bass guitars. So we've got this one and this one. Remember, we're making two for a reason. One for Spike Mike of the Spice Pistols and one for the lucky person who wants to bid on it. So what I did off camera is I took the template that I've had before and made one with the notch in it to fit around the neck, or the fretboard in this case I should say. Basically what I did is I just made like simple tracings here to know how much wood to cut out, but that's not what I want to cut on the bandsaw when I go to cut the shape or use for the router. So rather than giving myself more things to confuse myself with, which is, you know, simple enough as it is, I'm just going to do this here. So I'm going to cut very closely, as close as I can to those lines without going over. Put the template back on and then route it out. And I'm going to do that twice. I hope you like that high-speed action versus real-time, because I know I wish it went a little faster, and in some cases I think I was pushing my tools a little too fast. I've either got some dull bits, dirty bits, something like that, and you probably noticed the effect of not paying attention to my router. Now what's really cool about that is where I actually patch, that part's going to be sanded off anyway, so it's just a thing that I did to cover. Okay, so that's that on that one, and of course we're going to route for all the electronics and stuff like that, but it's all pretty much in the devil's in the details at this point. So again, more hand tools, and then this one you may have saw how it was just a little bit of a curve off from being a full hunk of wood for that. So what we did is just spliced off a little bit here, put it there. I've got to let this sit a little bit. You notice I did use the super glue to help me clamp it, because it's really hard to get a clamp over round things like this. But I still got to wait a little bit for that tight bond to take really good hold before I go cutting across. So I'm just going to let that happen. And this one can get ready to go. Like I said, I'm going to pull hand tools all out and really get some scraping, get some sanding going. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out this headstock. Now, when Mike and I did this before, we did that with my Gwen base, my short scale base headstock on it. And then when we were done, we were like, oh my gosh, we really missed our cue here. And we're thinking, you know, we got a heart, an arrow shooting through it, you know, like Cupid or something. We should have made this look like the feather part of an arrow. Now the thing about it is, if you look at what we're going to have with strings, now you're back to the old conundrum of whether or not it's okay to make these inner strings bow out. You know, and guys will argue that over and over. On a bass string you want a little more room, so I'm going to go 4 millimeters in. Where that line is, where that string comes up, the underside of that is where you want that tuner to be. If I wanted to make this nice and tight, kind of PRS like, then I would put this next thing here. However, that's not going to give us what we want in looks. If we have that there, then we've got to come here to make this thing look like, you know, the feathers. I like that one, because then I don't have to pull the tuner out as far. Bring in, make that notch here. So it's going to be something like this, working its way into that. Oh, you know what would be cool? We could even break that. Oh, dude, that's the answer. Break that in like this. Okay, so I had the saw all ready to go, and I was liking this one, but you know what? The customer is the person that's right. So we're going to go with Mike, and I see what he means, and I see why he likes it. So definitely not going to argue with him. But it's this. You know, if you look at it, what we had with that one, with the tuner sitting inside, it's like counterintuitive as far as the angles. And so here we've got this going in an angle, we want the tuners going at the same angle, and it absolutely makes sense. So I'm going to cut a couple pieces of timber to go on here, and I'm going to do both headstocks, get them glued up, and while they're gluing, then I'm going to make the actual template. Okay, so let's hit some saw and let's cut some things. Let's get going. Got the clamps off, looks like it's all set. Now we get down to the importance of center. Now this template is going to be used a little differently than a lot of my templates. If you notice, I do a lot of actual routing with the templates. This one, I'm just going to use it more as a tracing template, and then freehand the cuts, and then just get them kind of close enough. So it's been a long day, but in conclusion, looks like we've got us a couple heart-shaped bass guitars. Look at that. Look at that. Now, by the time we're done rounding over and sanding it, it's just gonna look like a couple little pink hearts getting shot with an arrow. All right, folks. Well, it looks like we're gonna tidy up our day and call it a night. Jeez, it is night already.
Howdy, Captain.
Well, who's this?
I'm Buck Mike.
Come on
First
in.
mate deckhand on the ship.
That's Mike, dude. Let me get you all dusty. You look too clean. Here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Oh, well,
Look at them
that's
there.
convenient. Who knew you were coming? Woohoo!
Oh yeah, baby. This is a little bit of like Poseidon adventure going on right there, right?
Exactly.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm glad you like. Yeah, there's still a bit of work yet,
Oh yeah.
so you could tell. So, as I was just about to say, yeah, you guys got to come back to the next episode because we're going to get pickups routed. We're going to get headstocks drilled, get the tuners mounted, or at least ready to mount. And then what else? Let me see. I'm going to do all the sanding, the real heavy sanding off camera. There's no point in watching that. And what are we going to do with the lights?
Well, the lights are going to get a channel with a little strip of plexi that is removable. So in the event that the lights get maybe a little soaked by sweat and short out, we can replace them if necessary. They do have mileage. They last so long, and so having the ability to switch them out actually helps the longevity of the whole thing.
That's right. That's the whole idea, right?
Yes, sir.
Make it so that whatever does break, like strings sometimes break, you want to be able to replace them, right?
Right.
So we're not going to staple them.
I'm not really a musician. I'm really not. I'm much more of a performer than I am a musician, and so it's important, since I can't play worth a shit, to actually dazzle you with my brightness.
That's right.
And
that's what.
Not to be confused with intelligence, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I would dazzle you with my brilliance if I only got the chance. Guys, have a good night. Thanks again for tuning in to Dude Craft Guitars.